It has been a huge privilege to be an officer of the Indian Police Service, serving our country in the last 28 years. During the time, I have seen our country progress rapidly, particularly in dealing with extreme poverty and its manifestations like hunger, malnutrition, illiteracy, disease, and destitution. When I was a child, there was no electricity in our village. Very few children went to school. I remember walking down barefoot to a school in a neighboring village. India has indeed made tremendous stride in the last 3 decades. I have no doubt in my mind that the system of governance and democracy that we have in place will ensure that we get rid of poverty in the next 1 decade. At the same time, I have some deep concerns. I do not think that this system of governance is adequate for the next level of economic progress, for generating double-digit growth rate over a period of the next 2-3 decades, managing our mega cities, creating a workforce that is future ready, creating large number of jobs in the formal sector, and all these would require a very different governance paradigm. Scoring 30 marks in an examination is one set of skill efforts, and scoring 90 is entirely different. So what do we need to do to scale up? Asimaglo and Robinson very succinctly argue that in the last 400 years, nations have done very well, particularly in terms of economic progress, by adopting democracy and rule of law. We are a democracy, though our experience in dealing with the government is not always very democratic. But we have huge issues with rule of law, and that's where I believe we have maximum problem. Our attitude towards the modern state system and its institutions are greatly influenced by our colonial experience. We suspect state power and instrumentalities of state power like the police. This is what scholars often call spiritual anarchism. Let me give 2 examples. Mahatma Gandhi did not want a powerful state. He wanted a Gramya Swaraj, a village republic, and in his ideal state, he wanted no police or a police to be a kind of moral reformer. Look at Tagore. He says with our extended family, joint family, community bonding, we can look after our old, our infirm, we can manage our community affairs. Why do we need a police? Why do we need a government? So the argument is this: Indian society is spiritual, Western society is materialistic. In a materialistic society, relationship between people is materialistic, so you require a state, laws to enforce it, a police force. But in a spiritual society, relationship is moral. You don't require a police force. You only need to have a moral power, reawaken moral power, and you will get it done. And that underlying theme that we don't need a state, at least not a powerful state, and we are different, for our society we can manage without law enforcement by moral power, as I said, is the thinking that you see in Ramakrishna, in Vivekananda, in Gandhi, in Tagore, in Jayaprakash Narayan, Vinoba Bhave, and even in Anna Hazare. Now, where do we find ourselves after 73 years? The strong moral power which was to ensure that people will behave well has not materialized. On the other hand, given our deep suspicion of the state, we have not allowed strong institutions of law enforcement to come up. And as a result, we end up in bit of a chaos as soon as they go out onto the street. How does this attitude of spiritual anarchism or suspicion of the state affect the way we do carry out policing? Let me give you a very simple example. A law that exists for the last 30 years that a rider or a pillion in a bike must wear a helmet. Now, as soon as you start enforcing the helmet law, somebody would say, why is this policeman doing this? He must be evil. He is trying to harass people. He must be trying to collect money either for himself or for the state coffers. And thereafter, to tilt the moral balance, he will pick up a photograph of a policeman riding a bike without a helmet, and then will argue, did you see that? Policeman does not practice what he preaches. Therefore, I am at impunity not to obey him. The argument will not stop there. Go to the next level. Why me? Why not A, B, C? Why others? Why bikes? Why not cars? Why not trucks? Why not auto rickshaws? And then why motor vehicle acts? Why not other acts? So either apply all law or no law, catch everybody or nobody, and then you start going into the next level of argument. Give me exemption when I am driving slow, when I am in the university campus. I will not wear a helmet because that's conditional, that's exemptions. So I will comply with law, but conditions apply. And these conditions are often specious, funny, bizarre, but never ending. This is what I call the great Indian whataboutery of law enforcement. How is the police supposed to deal with it? Police is supposed to deal with it with tact, with politeness, persuade people, but not enforce the law. Suppose I am going on the road and I see a police constable who orders me to stop. Should I stop or shouldn't I? I should tell him, look, I am your police commissioner. I don't need to listen to you. But no, I must. I must because I must obey his order because he is an officer of law. No matter how high we are, law is above us. I have been to different countries like many of you. I have never seen a policeman guarding a traffic post. If there is a red light, vehicles stop. If there is a green light, people start moving. Isn't that? But we live in a country when a policeman has to guard a traffic light. I have a dream. And my dream is one day, someday, I will not see a policeman on the street guarding a traffic light. I don't think that's a very big dream to have. How have we perpetuated this feeling of suspicion of state power and particularly the police? Look at the media narrative. It has three very distinct components. Let me deconstruct. First part is it's about misdeed of a criminal for whom we feel a sense of anger and derision. Then there is a second component, a victim for whom we feel a sense of sympathy, empathy. We want justice to be done. And there is a third component, that is the police. If there is a burglary, we can always say that the policeman has failed because he did not patrol the street properly. If there is a murder or a rape, police should have after all stopped it. So, you have here a crime, a criminal commits it, he is in the dock. Along with him, the police officer, because he has failed, will be in the dock. So, a criminal faces trial once in his lifetime, a police officer faces trial every day in the media and maybe many times in the day. So what happens? A lot of resources of the police is devoted in meeting allegations that are made against the police because police is so susceptible to allegations and preempting allegations. Those who are in power would like to control the police because they do not trust the police. They start thinking if you let them loose, they may do anything. The counter elite, those in the opposition, they think police is a handmaiden of those in power. So they will also continue to maintain pressure on the police. Finally, I come down to this point. P. Sainath wrote, as all of you know, everyone in India loves a good drought. And similarly, I believe everyone in India loves a bad police. That gives media TRP. That gives politicians an opportunity to control because they will be mediators. That gives opportunity to public not to abide by the law because police is bad. That gives an opportunity to the opposition to criticize the government. So we have been talking about having a least powerful police that is actually most accountable. Now, what is this effect of rhetoric, rabid rhetoric against the police? This is your police force. These are the laws that you have made. You have asked your police force, for whom you pay, to implement these laws, but you would not let that happen because you do not trust the police. So the effect is this, that first you make allegations, give the dog a bad name and hang him. Increasingly policemen are being attacked on the street. It's like the Rwanda genocide where the Tutsis were called cockroaches before genocide took place, or Hitler called Jews Untermensch, a subhuman, to attack. Giving this name, ridiculing the police all the time, criticizing the police all the time. Do I say that police is a victim? No, not at all. In capital, no. No, we are not victims. We are employed salaries. We are salaried employees. We go out with a pension. I'm worried about my own society. I'm worried about its future. Harare makes a very interesting point. He says scientists have been able to bring together 60 chimpanzees. But human beings in millions and billions live together because they can imagine a society which is larger. Today morning I was in Hirakud Dam, 5-kilometer dam. So many human beings came together to build this beautiful dam. Now that means if people are to come together, you require order, you require discipline. If you do not have it, you do not proceed further. So I'm worried about investment decisions. I'm worried about difficulty in land acquisition. I'm worried about we not having world-class infrastructure, and I'm worried about corruption. I'm worried about governance, corporate governance issues like insider trading, like fraudulent trading, like money laundering. If you have no laws, you are not making any progress any further. You will be stuck at about 5% growth rate, which is what you are getting stuck now. So, if you want a good banking system, that will not work if laws are not followed. All of you might think that with economic reform, you can reach 10, 11, 12%. You can get the smartest economists, but that will not happen. The much ridiculed, the much laughed at Pandu Havaldar on the street, the policeman on the street, he is going to add 3 to 4% to your GDP. Between Bhubaneswar and Cuttack, 2 cities in my jurisdiction, the time that should be taken to drive around should be 15 minutes. It takes 1 hour. So if you want growth, you need order, you need law enforcement. Not merely criminal law, but civil law. Laws relating to land rights, contract, tort, employment, corporate governance. If nothing happens, if there is complete chaos and democracy becomes antithetical to rule of law, there is no law enforcement, I'm afraid you are not making any progress. So, I look at the budget statement of the finance minister. That's excellent. Every year all of us look at the budget statement, but at the same time now I'm looking at a governance statement. How do we go out of this current mess? How do we create jobs for the huge number of youth so that we can leverage the demographic dividend that we have? All these would require all of you to now think, this is your country, laws are yours, you have to voluntarily comply with these laws and allow the law enforcement agencies to carry it out. Otherwise, we are very much stuck here. Our boat will capsize in the midst of gloomy despair. We cannot reach at the pinnacle of glory. Thank you.